views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to thrive? It is time to take action. Hello, everyone. This is Jen, and you are listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. What is the result of thriving? Body confidence, mind fulfillment, and soul synchronicity. Tune in to hear about these elements and the scientifically and spiritually proven action steps to stand in confidence, love from within, be unstoppable in fulfilling your dreams, and create synchronicity so you can flow toward abundance and love. Hear real stories that will inspire you to take action today and be a catalyst for positive change in this world through creating your own Thrive life. Let's do this. Feel empowered and ignite your soul with Thrive by Jen Radio starting now. Hey, good morning, everybody. You're listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. You see, today I have a guest, which I'm super excited about. My co-host today, his name is Mr. Joel Drasner. Welcome, Joel. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here, and you don't need the Mr. part.
I appreciate that. I've been giving our chat a lot of thought. Joel and I touched base last week, and I'm excited for him to kick this call off and to share with you what he does. But I've been really thinking a lot about what you said last week, Joel, when we chatted about your coaching, what you can accomplish. And I'm excited to take this moment to share with everyone listening, who you are, your coaching style, how you got started. You do some pretty amazing work, and I'd love to hear what got you into it. Did you have your own? Everybody, I love hearing people's stories. Did you have your own transformation moment? Did you go through something that made you want to share with the world? So, share with us.
Sure. Well, for those of you who don't recognize me from my scene in The Raging Bull, when Kathy Moriarty walks past me in the final fight of Take Them Out.
That's awesome.
My acting career didn't go much farther than that, and I've lived many lifetimes in this lifetime. A few years ago, I went back to school and I got a master's degree in something called spiritual psychology. The impetus for that came out of the blue. A friend was pursuing the same thing. And when I checked it out, I was smitten by the program. And along the way, I got to share some of the things that I was learning in the program with somebody who was suffering quite a bit. And for whatever reason, she heard something in what I said and had to confront a challenging situation in her life. And it went really well afterwards based on some of the stuff that I shared. And when she reported back, when she called ecstatically from the parking lot after that meeting with that person, something clicked and said, I've done a lot of fun things and a lot of cool things that I pursued in my life. But this feels like it's something worthy of paying attention to in terms of a future path in life. And it seemed like coaching was the direct way to get to do more of that with people. So I went into a coaching program that the school offered. And in the coaching program, one of the teachers there pointed to something beyond the program. And when I checked that out, I had a really immediately transformative experience, which turned out to be a springboard to something even more deeply transformative along the way.
Wow.
And what happened was after what I was initially pointed to in that program, I heard something that really in an instant dissolved what were decades probably of layered on suffering, layered on anxiety about the world needing to be different, especially people that I had deemed as important in my life, and had made quite a quite a lot of meaning about what I thought that they thought about me. That became a paramount influence, so to speak, over what it was that I was doing. So I found myself always, without realizing it, continually monitoring them for what my status was in their eyes at any given moment. And as I started to loosen that through what I learned, I realized, oh my gosh, I've been doing variations of this all my life. I have been living as if outside circumstances, and especially what I think other people think of me, is, but for keeping that at a really optimal level, I'm going to suffer. And in an instant, I saw something different, and all of that dissolved, and I didn't need that to be anything. And I realized that my experience of life was coming from a different place. And as I've come to pursue that line of perspective even more, something even bigger opened up. But from that initial burst, these last maybe 4 years of my life have been the happiest that I've lived consistently every day, getting out of bed, just feeling like I effing love my life.
So cool.
Independent of anything going on in it. And it's not to say that I don't have the ups and downs that everybody has. Mm-hmm. But now I feel that those ups and downs are on a solid foundation, not inside me, a solid foundation of perspective of my life that's unscalable, unbreakable, untouchable, so that any kind of experience can come up, and it will for all of us. But it just happens like within a bigger formless infinite container that's made of peace.
Wow. That's huge. I love what you said about breaking free from others, what others thought, right? Because that's such a big piece. And again, I'll speak only for myself, because I never like to assume what others go through. But for me, that's been a huge part of, that past suffering, in that I don't know, you could, if you, even the 5 people that you're surrounded with on a daily basis, those 5 then extend out to another 5 and another 5. It's like the 5 never go away. So every day you care so much, you function so much about what other people think and say about your life.
Yeah. Yes. And I would say that over 99% of people in the world have a variation of that misunderstanding about life. And it may seem to affect them in 7.5 billion different ways. But virtually everybody, to some degree, falls sway to the illusion that stuff going on out there really matters to their own personal well-being. And so what I get to do in my work with people is help them see something different about life, to where that no longer looks like a solid truth. That their experience of life comes from a completely different place that doesn't require anything in the world to be different in order for them to experience the absolute unconditional, loving inner peace that they're made of.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
The quality that's always there underneath all the surface experience that they're going to.
Sure.
So I call myself a resilience coach, or another word for it is an end of suffering coach.
I love that. You said something last week when we were talking that resonated with me. You said that the suffering, we just put different labels on it. Because when you and I were talking about suffering, and later on for our listeners, later on in the show, Joel and I thought the best thing, right? I really wanted people to experience the powerful work that you do. So I had offered to make myself the guinea pig, and Joel's going to take me through through an end of the suffering for my own personal experience.
No pressure.
But you said something. You said something last week that I want to talk a little bit more about, but I also want to bring it out into everyday living. You said to me, the suffering, we just put different labels on it. So the suffering, whether it's from relationships, or let's call it, my parents don't support me, or my friends don't support me, or somebody doesn't like what I'm doing, or but we call it different labels. And so it reminded me a lot of, I joke with my kids a lot when my kids come home and list out problems. I always say to them, the main component in the problem is you, right? And that you can control you. We can't control what other people are doing. So just talk a little bit more about, just so people understand the labels and what you consider suffering. Because it did, when you and I were talking, it confused me a little bit, because I was coming up with lots of suffering in the sense where I was putting labels on it.
Right. Okay. So I can't remember the exact nature of what it was that I said to you when we spoke, but the idea that we put different labels on it is an extension of another idea that all suffering comes from one source. No matter what label is put on it, there's only one core misconception about life that is the source of all suffering. And then it manifests seemingly in different forms of my relationship, my job, my bank account, my neighbor upstairs with the heavy stomping on the ceiling, whatever it is, it comes from a misperception about who we ourselves are. And because we don't know that, we very innocently operate under an assumption that isn't proven, that who we are is contained within our physical body in our current cluster of thinking. And we imagine that that's the limits of who we are. And because that's who we are and we're separate from the whole, we're literally a chip off the block being everything else in all of conscious awareness. Mm-hmm. And there are things out there that need to be a certain way in order for us to maintain feeling okay. So we spend all of our lives trying to make those things okay, or adjust the things that aren't the way we would prefer them, or shrinking from them if they look intimidating. But all of it's founded on an illusion that there are things out there that are separate from us. Mm-hmm. And when we understand who we are, then that picture starts to look really different really fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So the things out there being circumstances, right? We look at, in the past, like I've tended to look at circumstances, right? And when that circumstance changes, then I'll be happy, I guess, is something that maybe you hear a lot, right?
I would say that the entire self-help or therapy world is founded on that misconception. People are at point A and there's a point B in space and time. And when they get there, life will be better than it is right now. Yeah. And the degree of distance that they imagine between point A and point B is the exact measure of how they're suffering.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, that's a very clear picture for me now. I appreciate that, because for a long time I worked in physical transformation, in the realm of physical transformation, and that for sure was the guiding, right? When I lose 10 pounds, I'll be happier. When I lose 10 pounds, will fall into place. We're going to take a quick short break, and when we get back, we're going to dive in. I'm going to have Joel take us through sort of, I guess we could call it like a coaching session, because I'm excited for everyone to see exactly what you do, Joel. You're listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio.
Tune in to the Astral Insider, your portal for adventure, insight, and growth with Fernando Albert. And get ready to tour the astral realm, expand your life in ways you've never imagined, and call in for the journey of your life. with this world-renowned lucid dreamer, astral projectionist, psychic medium, and healer, Fernando Albert. This is every second and fourth Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
Hi, I'm Jane Matanga with Grow Your Soul Radio. It's been said that whatever you believe, you are. When you take charge with your positive thoughts and beliefs, you are the creator of your perceptions. You have the power to shift your reality. When you begin to shift your beliefs, the universe will dream a bigger dream for you than you ever imagined. Believe in your dreams, and every part of your world can open up in new and glorious ways, because everything is possible. I'd love for you to join me on Grow Your Soul Radio with my co-host, Dr. Pat, on Transformation Talk Radio.
It's time to get your life back on Burn Bright Today with Jennifer Marcinelli. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to move from the darkness of burning out to the light of burning bright. Jennifer is redefining stress and the energetic causes of burnout, shining a light on process to get your life back. For more information about Jennifer and her work, visit burnbrighttoday.com.
Are you ready to finally feel empowered and knowledgeable in your political stance? Let Marcia Padilla-Goad educate you on exactly how important grassroots advocacy is in a relatable way to all perspectives. Tune in to Grassroots Advocacy Radio with Marcia every first Tuesday of the month at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Visit DynamicsInPublicAffairs.com.
Hey, welcome back to Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to Thrive by Jen. So we're going to dive right back in. I am on with Joel Drasner, and I'm excited to get into his coaching and what he does. And you can find Joel at joeldrasner.com. I'm going to spell it out for you, JoelDrazner.com. And I just was saying to Joel on the break that I'm excited for this, and it's you know, I'm always interested in taking myself to another level. And for our listeners too, this is, right, life is a journey, Joel. And it's always about, you know, I don't like to use the term getting better, but I love what you said, more peaceful and being more one with who we are at the core. So Joel and I had said that it would be great for us to dive into like a somewhat of a coaching session. And Joel's question to me last week was, where is my suffering? And so I had said, well, suffering for me comes in my relationships, and more so my personal relationships, from divorces to failed relationships. And so if I had to choose something that does cause me suffering, it's in the area of personal relationships.
I see. So, and first, I just want to say to anybody who's watching or listening this at any point that this, what I'm doing isn't necessarily a coaching demonstration. So
right.
as to do something like that would be problematic in that every person that I work with, it's a different sort of thing based on what's going on with them. But in exploring a little bit with you, maybe some of the overall ideas that I share might be helpful to people.
Yeah. And also too, so our listeners understand, I also want to take this opportunity for people to get a good grasp on what you do and why they should call you, why they should, this is that the peaceful feeling that you experience and similar to what I've experienced. I mean, one of the whole driving forces behind what we do is we've experienced life more joyfully, and you of course want that for other people, and so you want to share. And so for those of you listening, this is sort of what I wanted to do here with Joel today, so you can have more of an understanding of what Joel does.
So in terms of why people should call me, well, I know one thing, or I believe one thing very strongly, and that's nobody is broken. Nobody needs fixing. So nobody needs to call me or anybody else in order to be better than they are. I've just been very fortunate to have been turned on to something that was really helpful, that helped alleviate suffering quite a bit. And to the best of my ability and to my great preference, I like to share it with people in hopes that it might be useful to them as well. And so what I offer them is unconditional loving, listening to the best of my ability and sharing with them in the best possible and clearest way I can, something that has not failed me yet to see the inner peace and love that I'm made of. Same thing with people who've seen it. So
I love that. Yeah, but that's key, right? That's, and you're right in that. I love that you say that we're not broken, right? And the circumstances that we've gone through, I like to look at them as, I love that you say resilience, coach. Resilience is actually the R that is represented in the R in Thrive. It's resilience. It's what we've been through, what we've gone through, what we've learned, makes for a beautiful, resilient person, and looking forward to going through life and experiencing life, and whatever comes up. Like you said before, sure, you have those ups and downs or those obstacles, but that also is part of I always say, like, chipping away at our character and building up more strength and things like that. So let's kick off. Let's start with I don't know, what would you say to me if I did call you up and said, Joel, like, I do have some suffering in my life?
Sure. So tell me a little bit about what the suffering is and how you're experiencing it.
So my suffering takes up a lot of my thought time. Like, my suffering for me is done in worry, probably worrying way too much about a relationship or relationships, worrying about the future, worrying about circumstances that haven't even happened. But it's like this story that I create, this role play that I create based on prior circumstances, prior experiences, and not letting that go. But for me, that suffering is a lot. That takes up a lot of energy. It takes up a lot of time.
Okay. Cool. So let me ask you a question. Sit for a moment. And by the way, for those of you watching this, part of the work that I do entails a lot of silence between. So there's a lot of connection that may not include words. It's a general sense of slowing down. But as you consider one of the main things that's on your mind, may be very prevalent. Everybody has something that they're preoccupied with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also true that we can only have one thought at a time, even if we have a lot of thinking going on.
Mm-hmm.
we may be switching from one thought to another fairly rapidly, but we can only ever experience one thought at a time. Okay. So whatever it is that's really pressing on you, that has appeared within something. That thought, that idea has appeared within something. We have a sense that that concern has come into us in a certain way, us being this formless and unlimited space. But this concern has now come to us and we're really involved with it. But there was a time when we didn't have this concern. Mm. And even during the course of a day, we have to attend to practical matters. Do these shoes match what I'm going to wear for the day, or did I make lunch, or all these things? And for the moment that thought comes in, that pressing concern goes away. Mm. And then you take care of the practical matter and the pressing concern comes in. In all of our life, things are coming in and departing. They're coming and going and coming and going. That's been our life's experience from the get-go. And yet, we seldom, if ever, look at what is the place that's always there, that whatever comes and goes from. There's something more intimate and closely a part of us that receives all of these concerns that we label good, bad, neutral, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's never not been there, even though everything that has come and gone has changed. Even a sense of us, the sense of us in a physical body. That physical body is changing all the time. It has changed and will continue to change. Mm. And yet our our experience of that physical body has been never not there. There's something at the core of who we are that doesn't seem to be located just in that physical body and whatever thoughts are coming. We might call that, whatever that is, the knowing of our experience. No matter what our experience has been, there's never not been an awareness of it. There's never not been a knowing of that experience. It's very helpful to start to turn around our direction of attention toward that which is eternal and never diminished. It's always been there, rather than just the content of what arises within that space. So as you even just touch upon that a little bit, what do you feel? What's your experience as you connect with that space?
I feel like it puts me in a very neutral place.
Beautiful.
Like a very neutral.
Right. So it's that neutral space that welcomes all experience. Mm-hmm. That is actually our true self.
So is it, in a way, Joel, like, is it stepping outside and almost watching what's happening?
Well, it's not in the sense of a doing, like let's do this exercise to step outside of ourselves. It's starting to recognize what's always been there, whether we do exercises to get to it or not.
Yeah, okay.
We are at the core is this conscious awareness that never leaves or departs, but that welcomes any possible experience into our lives. And the support system that makes those experiences look so vivid and real is it's very well crafted. We have our senses. We see, hear, touch, taste, smell. And we have the capacity to weave all of that input into stories. But we never look at the person behind the curtain, so to speak.
we're going to take a quick short break. When we get back, I want to, well, of course, continue with this, but I want to understand, if it's okay with you, a little bit more about that conscious awareness. You're listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio.
Dream on, fly high, and live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Laura Meeks guides you in finding your unique gifts and bringing them to life. As a certified life coach, speaker, and veteran bomber pilot for the U.S. Air Force, Laura knows how to follow a dream. She is ready to support you so you can dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. For more information on Laura and her work, visit flyhighliving.com.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
Are you ready to shift your current beliefs about death? From debilitating pain and loss? Follow Angie Corbett-Kuiper as she shares that through choice, present moment awareness, and keeping an open mind that anything is possible, even in death. Tune in to Beyond Proof Radio with Angie, redefining death and loss, every first and third Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more, visit BeyondProof.com.
Like the branches of a tree, universal knowledge, insight, and wisdom must be weaved together to bring forward to others. If you live in the Western Washington area, you will want to make the trip to Auburn and visit the new Alchemy of the Goddesses Center. Now open and offering healing sessions, classes, crystals, books, oils, and more. Find out more about the center. Visit alchemyofthegoddesses.com. That's alchemyofthegoddesses.com.
Demystifying the journey on From Here to There Radio with your host, Diane Garris. Tune in every third Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on TransformationTalkRadio.com as Diane helps you get from where you are now to the life you envision. Get ready to get unstuck and move forward. Every show features a new special segment, New Age Notes, demystifying hot metaphysical topics of the day. For more information or to work with Diane, visit DianeGarris.com.
Welcome back to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. I am here with my guest host today, Joel Drasner. You can reach Joel at joeldrasner.com. And we're going to dive right back in because I don't want to waste any time. Joel is walking me through. So we're at the point now where I'm realizing, like you said, conscious awareness. So I'll let you continue to take me through this process.
Okay, so more closely associated with us, that's a terrible word, but more closely an intimate part of us is our knowing of any experience. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't state for a fact that things exist outside of our knowing of them, but I can't prove that they don't, or I can't prove that that's not true, because the only thing that I've ever found includes me in the knowing of the thing that I've known.
Mm. Yeah.
So that means that any so-called circumstance or other person out there is only arising with me in the experience of it. Well, if that's the case, my problems start to look less and less solid. They look less and less like real things that exist independently of me.
Mm.
And less am I prone to view the contents of those problems as being fundamentally needing attention in order for me to be in a better place than I am. I have no circumstances that exist independently of me being part of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts to become very interesting when we examine who is the me, who is the I that appears to be having these circumstances.
Mm.
So who am I and who am I not is another way to kind of look at it. So one of the first things I want to do when I work with somebody is have them see as clearly as possible that who they are is not just the 5.5 foot meat and bone capsule with a current collection of thoughts going on.
Yeah.
You know, and if you start to look at that, first of all, if you examine it even a little bit, you will see that every moment that you are having this so-called life is beyond magic, right? Because you're looking at your computer screen, I imagine, or whatever screen you're seeing me on right now, and whatever else is in your field of vision.
Mm-hmm.
But Jen, let me ask you this. Where is it that you're actually seeing what it is that you're seeing? Where does that picture actually exist? Now, I'm asking somewhat rhetorically. You can answer it if you like. But when I ask people that, often they'll say, "Oh, well, it's in my eyeballs," and we could get the most sophisticated equipment and go into your eyeballs. We would not find the picture of what it is that you're looking at in that body part.
Yeah.
And then people say, "Well, no, it's in my brain because my eyeballs see something." But we already have really sophisticated equipment to go into the brain. And while we could see all kinds of electrical activity or whatever, I'm not a medical scientist, but whatever, we could see activity going on, but we can't find the picture you're looking at in your brain. Likely it's not in your kneecaps either. It doesn't exist in a body part.
Interesting.
So what it is that we're perceiving is not localized within the body. That alone is mind-blowing. If you
100%, totally, yep.
Okay, so now you go to your other senses. It's a similar thing. You know, you're hearing, I'm making air go over my vocal cords, and it's going into electronics, and it's going over the interweb waves, and it's going, you know, into your ears, and molecules are being disturbed, and vibrations are happening, and whatever. But we cannot find the exact sound in a body part. There's some, for lack of a better word, zone of perception or area. These nouns are become meaningless, but there's a place of perception that isn't localized in the body. You can do the same thing with smells, with whatever. Now here's where it gets even weirder. Okay, if I to touch something, well, where is it that we're actually feeling things? Like, oh, if I don't examine it, it feels like, oh, my fingers are touching something. My fingers don't have the ability to feel something. They don't have the ability to make sense of any information. So where is it that I'm actually experiencing touch? If you pursue it, you find that it's the same place that I'm experiencing all of my other senses. So the weirdest part is I only know my body through images. I could see what I could see of my body.
Uh-huh.
And I could feel through sensation. And yet I've just kind of pointed to the fact that what I see and what I feel through sensation doesn't exist within the body.
Right.
Which is evidence that we don't exist inside our bodies. But the illusion is very powerful that we do, and most people live our lives as if that's who we are.
Yeah, for sure.
So once we start to see this, then the whole nature of the circumstances that that body and collection of thoughts seem to be having in the world starts to look really different.
100%. Yeah.
And so when we start to get a sense of who we are not and who more likely we are, then the solid seeming causes of suffering that were attached to who we are not fall away with the concept of who we are not. And less do we find that we need the world to be different in order to be okay, fundamentally.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I get. That for me makes it very clear. That makes it very clear. Yeah, because there's no attachment.
Right. But
perceived attachment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's true. However, there's a lot of strategies and endless books and ancient religions that will talk about losing attachment. But what I'm talking about is something, it's a different way to get there. It's a pathless path to getting there, which is merely the disinfecting sunshine of understanding.
Right.
When you understand who you are not and you have a deeper sense of who you truly are, then attachment no longer makes sense, so it falls away of its own accord.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Because the practice losing attachment, you become not attached because it just doesn't make sense any longer.
Sure. Yeah. Because if I focused on, it's funny, right? I mean, if I focused on losing that attachment, then I'm putting solidness to.
Well, it's not that you're putting solidness to that. You're putting solidness to the I.
To the I, exactly. Yeah. Yes. That makes total sense to me. That's brilliant. That makes total sense to me. We're going to take a quick short break, and when we get back, we'll finish up. But that is that's mind blowing to me. That's very cool. You're listening to Thrive by Jen on Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, I'm Jane Matanga with Grow Your Soul Radio. Life is full of challenges and surprises. Your guidance is to move with the current, for it is in resisting the flow that creates problems. Ask your angels to help you open up your mind and heart to new ideas and fresh options. When you accept the possibility that there are other ways, previously unseen doorways will be open to you and you will move easily through change. There is a solution to every problem, so look at things with eyes of love and expectation. Then your life force will flow freely through you. You will feel healthy and alive and will be able to access the necessary resources and wisdom within yourself to help you through change. I'd love to take this journey with you. Visit my website, enlightened-path.com, so we can explore all that is possible.
This is Debbie Pokornik with a moment for standing in your power. Self-control begins with noticing how different feelings present themselves in your body. When you're feeling sensitive, for example, your chin might quiver, tears might well up in your eyes, and your voice might catch in your throat. Anger, on the other hand, might appear as tension in your jaw, back, or arms, along with clenched fists, heat in the upper torso, scowling, and a strong desire to yell. The more aware you become of your body cues, the easier it will be to recognize when you're on the road to disaster. Choose the emotions that cause you problems Then start noticing and logging the body cues that come with them.
For information and to work with Debbie, visit empoweringnrg.com. That's empoweringnrg.com.
Join the new Earth on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. Tune in each month as Cornelia takes listeners on an odyssey of higher consciousness to inspire, educate, and empower. Cornelia Stephanie is a spiritual teacher, passionate speaker, published author, and founder of the Empower Network. Cornelia guides people on the path of self-healing, peace, and liberation. For more information, go to corneliastephanie.com.
Healing beyond symptom management into true wellness with Jessica Dooley on Purely You Radio. Tune in every third Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific as Jessica guides you to find and embrace your purest self. Not the self that is shown on social media, not the self that is created in your family's eyes, but your purest version of you. Purely You Radio supports true wellness, not just symptom management. For more information about working with Jessica Dooley, visit purelyyouhealing.com.
Hey, welcome back to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio. We're jumping into our last segment, and I'm here with Joel Drasner. You can reach Joel at joeldrasner.com, which I have to say, Joel and I get to chat on breaks, and this really is it's groundbreaking. It's a way to exist and a way to thrive. I mean, we call it, right, thrive living, because it's just not about surviving. And so we have about 10 minutes, Joel. Share with me, I mean, really, what one of the things that I said to Joel on break was that I wanted to know if he's always coming from a place of love. And what you said made sense to me in that when you exist this way, you're always coming from a place of peacefulness and more joy, because you know that there's no attachment, there's no perceived attachment, you're not getting caught up in what's going on in life. Am I saying that? I'm not saying it as beautiful as you.
You're beautiful, so everything you say comes out true. That being said, we're only just touching the surface, and even if we worked for the rest of our lives, we would only just be touching the surface of what there is to see. But in our expressions, we're so conditioned to thinking that there's a limited I. There's a separate I in the world. That even in the attempts to explain this, it's very understandable and normal to fall back into the separate nature of things, just even to formulate a question about it. So, like the idea of a resilience coach, so to speak, which I position myself as. It can seem like, oh yeah, resilience. Let me get some of that. I've got 12 units of it, and I need a full 100 units of resilience.
Totally.
As if there's a quality out there called resilience, and if I could just get my hands on that, boy, then life would be so wonderful. But what I'm suggesting is that resilience is what you're made of. The resilience or absolute happiness or unconditional loving or deeply experienceable inner peace is who you are, and it's always shining like a beacon. It's shining like the sun itself, with a strong cloud cover over it because of how our life is conditioned from early on.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
We're raised by, many of us, by parents who love us dearly, but because they don't understand themselves what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. So we might have lost Joel for a couple of seconds. It's he'll come back on, but it's interesting. What's part of what Joel is sharing is that, and I'm going to use his analogy that he's used with me, is that if anyone has ever made tea, iced tea, right? They call it sun tea. You put the tea bags in the water and you leave it out in the sun, and the tea permeates the water, and then it makes the tea. It makes something new. This is similar in that we exist, and the separation of our thoughts from. Did we get you back?
We're back. Sorry.
Right, no, that's okay.
Disappearing.
Actually, it's perfect. I was just sharing with everybody what you shared with me about the sun tea analogy, and just that, right? You share that analogy with everybody, and take them through that a little bit, just so that they can understand that this becomes a way of being, of.
Yeah, it's a way of being with an emphasis on the being and a de-emphasis of the way. Right. Because I don't want to suggest at any point that there's a methodology or a ideology or set of prescribed activity that needs to be done to get there.
Because we have it, right? We have it.
Right. We have it. There's just a little bit in the beginning of an undoing of previous conditioning towards ways. So it seems like an activity, but really it's a letting go of previous activity to just redirect the focus of where we're looking in terms of the experience of our life. And as we just continue to gently explore this understanding, then the sun tea analogy was like, okay, you put a tea bag in a big container of water and you set it on the shelf. Gradually, over time, that the water is going to become more and more pervaded with the color of the tea. In the same way, the more we steep ourselves gently, not a grind, not like, oh, I've got to get it, and there's 8 more units of understanding that I need, but just out of love for, not even love for it, just out of love, we just explore the understanding. We undo the conditioning that says that we're these separate selves living in a world of objects and other people who are needing to be a certain way in order for our fundamental okayness to be optimal.
Yeah.
And as we continue to look, and that's why it's valuable to have some sort of guide or pointer in the beginning. In a lot of ways, what I do is set up a foundation to quickly put myself out of business with somebody, unlike maybe a therapist who might find endless things to fix with a person to keep the relationship over decades going on. Yeah, I like to help people as soon as I can really see a truth, and then they can decide if it's worth exploring further or if they're.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And you and I have talked about that. I love that. Is that you don't have to. We're not broken.
So it's, in the beginning, it's really to help really spin. I get this impression in my mind is like there's this huge cruise ship and it's going in one direction, and we're now turning that cruise ship around to get it to come back to the port that it launched from. So it's kind of helping. It's helping people see that they're already standing in the place that they're trying to build a bridge to. And to see what the nature of that place is, and even more deeply seeing that everything else that they're experiencing, the bridge, the other places, and whatever, are all made of the same stuff. And it's all one thing.
Yeah. Joel, we have about a minute left. I'm going to let you close it out. But the one thing that I do want to say that I think is so beautiful is that you give people hope that it's not far, right? We don't have a big space to go to bring ourselves back to this. And this is what I've learned from you and that's what's so beautiful. So in closing, what would you like to share with those listening?
You are standing on a foundation that's unbreakable. You are like a magic movie screen on which any possible movie can appear on. And even if the world itself blows up in that movie, you, the screen, will be untouched by any of the content of it.
Awesome. I love that. Everyone go to joeldrasner.com, and thank you so much for being with me here today. And this was groundbreaking for me. So we'll talk more in the future for sure. So thank you everyone for joining in. You've been listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on Transformation Talk Radio.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Thrive by Jen Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in live each Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, as Jen shares the action steps and real stories from people throughout the country that will ignite you to stand in confidence, love from within, and be unstoppable at fulfilling your dreams. For more information, podcast downloads, and to connect with Jen, visit jenniferzellup.com.